Welcome in, grab a seat, and make yourself really comfortable. I am so glad you're joining me for this Fireside Explainer. Today, I want you to imagine we're sitting together in a quiet mountain retreat lodge. The fire's crackling, the pace of the day has finally slowed down, and we actually have the space to talk about something deeply human. Now, we aren't here to rehash the basic definitions of presence. We already know what it means to be mindful, right? Instead, we're going to look at the invisible shadows cast when presence is lost. We're exploring the profound, often totally hidden cost of a leader's emotional absence. Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever walked into a stunning mountain lodge, maybe one with those soaring architectural beams, perfectly placed furniture, an impeccably clean fireplace? But despite how perfect it all looked, you just couldn't stop shivering? The room has all the right structure, absolutely, but the fireplace is completely empty. There's no fire. There's no warmth. I call this the cold hearth metaphor. Think about the emotionally absent leader for a second. They might be technically brilliant, they might be incredibly efficient, their organizational structure might even be flawless, but relationally, they are absolutely freezing. And when a leader operates like a cold hearth, everyone in the room has to conserve their own energy just to survive the chill. You aren't thriving in that room, you're literally just trying to stay warm. There's this brilliant point from Danielle Body's work, Leading with Presence, that captures this dynamic beautifully. The source material points out that relying solely on transactional efficiency, without emotional stewardship, leads to profound hidden costs. A leader's true consequence isn't always found in their quarterly output. Often, it lives in the invisible emotional gaps they leave behind. And that brings us to our first real turn in this conversation.
The hidden costs, when interstates become external weather.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what happens when internal strain silently spreads. There are four main hidden costs to this invisible toll. First, the spread of fragmentation, where a leader's unanchored energy basically creates chaos. Second, the team is unconsciously trained into protective behaviors. Third, psychological safety just silently erodes. And finally, it leaves a damaging relational legacy. This isn't corporate jargon, you guys. This is the reality of human nervous systems interacting in a shared space.
So I want to pose a gentle coaching question to you right now. If you lead a team, a family, or a community, what weather are you bringing into the room? Take a deep, deliberate breath and really reflect on that. Are you bringing a stabilizing calm, or are you dragging in the chaotic winds of your own unregulated stress?
That brings us to our first fresh insight, emotional contagion. When a leader lacks inward contact, their unacknowledged fear, exhaustion, or overwhelm doesn't just stay neatly inside them. It leaks. It becomes the external atmosphere the entire team is forced to navigate. Without grounded emotional intelligence, your internal storm inadvertently forces your team to constantly weather a storm of urgency and reactivity.
Training for survival, adapting to the reality of leadership. Now, what's really interesting about this is how teams biologically adapt. Notice the stark contrast here. Teams naturally adapt to the emotional reality set by their leader. An emotionally absent leader spreads urgency and triggers guardedness. People start to communicate strategically, basically figuring out what's safe to say based on the leader's mood. But a present leader, they actually regulate the room through their own embodied steadiness. They invite honest, open collaboration because the environment genuinely feels safe.
Under an absent leader, the team adopts survival habits. We're talking about burnout, guardedness, overfunctioning just to compensate for the leader's erratic nature, and self-silencing. Instead of collaborating openly, employees protect themselves from reactivity by withholding their honesty. The invisible cost of that architecture is just astronomical. Tension and invisible architecture, the lasting imprint of conflict.
Let's shift our fireside conversation toward those moments when things get truly difficult. Let's talk about tension. Because conflict exposes exactly what is built beneath the surface. So the crucial point is this: it's almost never the disagreement itself that fractures a team. Disagreements are totally normal. What breaks a team is a leader's inability to hold tension without emotionally collapsing. It's the erosion of trust caused by emotional unpredictability that leaves a damaging relational legacy. If your team doesn't know which version of you is going to show up to a conflict, trust simply cannot survive.
I want to just let this question hang in the air for a moment, kind of like the crackle of a warm fire. When tension rises, do you lead or do you react?
The threshold return, a practice for conflict and tension. Let's move to and see how this builds into something practical. Knowing how easily we all slip from leading into reacting, I want to share a unique experiential practice with you right now. If you're sitting, let yourself genuinely settle into your chair. Feel the weight of your body supported by the seat beneath you. Take a few seconds right now just to feel your feet resting flat on the floor. We are going to slow our pacing way down for the next couple of minutes to learn a real-time nervous system regulation technique to use exactly when tension spikes. I call it the threshold return. Imagine you're in a high-stakes meeting. Someone directly challenges your work, or maybe questions a decision you just made. Immediately, tension floods your body. Step 1. Notice the physical pull of protection. Before you say a single word, feel your chest tighten. Notice if your breath has suddenly become shallow, or if you've stopped breathing entirely. Just observe it. Don't judge it. Don't try to push it away. Just quietly say to yourself, "Ah, I am activated." Hold that awareness. Step 2. Deliberately soften. I want you to drop your shoulders away from your ears right now. Unclench your jaw. Let your tongue fall away from the roof of your mouth. If your hands have made fists, gently open your fingers. Now, we're going to breathe together to send a biological signal of safety. Inhale deeply through your nose for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale slowly through your mouth for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do that one more time. Inhale. And exhale, fully releasing that defensive energy. You are telling your biology that you are safe. Finally, step 3. Re-inhabit your center before speaking. Ask yourself, what is actually true here, rather than reacting to the fear? Try doing this over the next few days when small frustrations pop up. It takes just a little bit of deliberate time, but it radically shifts the architecture of your next conversation.
And please remember, this tiny threshold practice, that vital pause, is not avoidance. You aren't fleeing the conflict, it is emotional stewardship. You're ensuring that you are choosing clarity over impulse and groundedness over a protective performance. You are staying with the truth of the moment.
How you leave people. The future of human-centered leadership.
As we let the embers of our conversations settle, I want us to look toward the future. The future of leadership is undeniably human-centered. We're moving away from leadership built purely on output and toward leadership measured by the experience and dignity of the people being led. And that brings us to the core argument of our explainer today. Leadership performance without relational intelligence just cannot succeed in the long term. As the source text so movingly puts it, in the end, presence is not just how you lead, it is how you leave people. Do you leave them feeling handled, managed, and drained? Or do you leave them feeling seen, steadied, and met?
I want to leave you with this final thought as you step away from our fire today. Carry this reflective steadiness back into your daily life, your next meeting, your next difficult conversation. Your presence is the shelter. Do not let your absence become the storm. So I leave you with this to ponder. The next time you walk into a room, will you be the architect of the cold or the keeper of the fire? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and until next time, stay grounded.